prostate cancer vlog where I give you the lowdown on what it was like for me. I was pretty much in the dark early on this experience for prostate cancer. So I pretty much wanted to do this so that I can bring it into the light and so that other people won't be as much in the dark as I was. So here it goes. So first is this long wait that I had to, which you might have to do, where you're still figuring out, you don't know whether you have it, you have a high PSA count, and you're not sure what's going on, which could be like the hardest part. I think for me, it was that there's early, when I didn't really know much about it, that was part of the hardest part for me, I think. And I'm early in, so there'll probably be hard parts, but at least at the start, that's what it was for me. So I found out back in end of October 2022, that I had a high PSA count. I just got a report saying, hey, you should see your urologist. You have a 5.5 PSA count, and anything over 4 is considered high. I did not know what that meant. I had no idea what a high PSA count meant, ignorant about it. I hadn't heard anything about it. I just knew urologists were for older people, and I didn't feel old, so I didn't want to do anything. So I just put it off for a few months. My wife kept at me to go find somebody. Finally, at the end of December, I started looking through for a urologist to see if I could find somebody. And I was searching through the names, and I was like, I knew what they were doing. I know what areas they were looking at. And I came across, I was just looking for the recommendations, and one name popped out to me. His name was Dr. Fingerman. I said, anyone with the name of Dr. Fingerman, he was born to do this. So I decided that's actually why I went with Dr. Fingerman. He did get good recs too. But so early January, I went to see him and to find out, like, what did I need to do? I have this high PSA count. And he explained to me, for one, what a PSA, what that meant, that it actually was related to prostate cancer. And that was a bit of a shock to me, because I really just was ignorant of this. And that the PSA count, that stood for a prostate-specific antigen. And the PSA is a protein that's in with your semen, and it actually provides a liquid so your sailors can swim, which you think would be a good thing. But if it's high in your bloodstream, if it's above 4, that can be an indicator of having prostate cancer. So he wanted me to go, before he did anything more invasive, he said, just let's get more blood work done and just see if it's still that way. Because it turns out that and I'd never been told this, but if you get your blood work done within a day or two of riding a bicycle, or within a day or two of having sex or masturbating or any kind of ejaculation, that could raise your PSA count. So you don't want to do that. And none of this really matters until you're about 50. So I'm 52, so this is why I'm just starting to get these measurements done when I get the blood work done. So he said, I want you to go back. I want you to wait a week before, no sex, no biking. I do the Peloton, so I had to just stay away from everything. I wanted to make sure I had an accurate count. So he said, I want you to go back, go to the lab, get your blood work done, and let's see what the results are. So I went to him January 11th. Then it was, so I had to wait about 10 days. So usually you just don't have sex or have any ejaculation or on a bike within 2 days, a day or two before you get your blood work. But we just wanted to, I guess, be safe. So I waited to January 20th, got my blood work done, and then I had to wait some more. So this was back from October. Now we're on January 20th. I got it done, and then I had to wait a few more days. I get those results back, and they come back, and they're positive for a high count. I had a 5.3 count of my PSA. And at that point, I started to get worried, because I'm in good health. I exercise. I'm not overweight. I have a good diet. I'm vegan, so I don't have there's some foods that will sort of give you a higher chance for prostate cancer. I was not doing any of those things. So I just started going a little bit down a dark path, and I just felt that I had, for some reason, I felt like, okay, well, the only reason I would have these high counts is I probably have prostate cancer. It's just the high PSA is just an indicator that then you should do more testing. But I sort of went negative at that point and thought, I felt that I had it. I wasn't going to tell anyone. And this is when it got hard, because I didn't want to tell anyone that I even had a high PSA count. I didn't want to tell the kids. I didn't want anyone to worry. Laura and I knew, my wife Laura and I knew about it. And then it was just waiting, because the next step is the biopsy. Definitely was not looking forward to the biopsy. Because I knew then, well, for one, the actual biopsy, you know, I still had Dr. Fingerman, so I knew I was in good hands, but I didn't want to find that stuff out. It was a bit scary now that I knew what it was entailed. I still hadn't done a lot of research, but I just was concerned about it. But I had to schedule it, and now we're into February, early February. February 3rd is when I actually had my biopsy that morning. And again, I was not looking forward to having someone probe me or anything probe me, and then also waiting, because it was going to get real then. So, although at this point I did decide that if something was going to come out, I did actually want to share my story with other people. Wasn't going to keep it in, because I was frustrated that I didn't know anything about it. So anyway, I go in for the biopsy. They give me a shot to sort of numb me. Then they give a shot like up into the prostate. I can't look. I'm not good with shots. And then he's manually, I think it actually maybe in the initial meeting, he did a digital, he was looking around, but then he did it again. I can't remember. That's why I'm doing this, so I can remember what the experience is like. In part, I want to share it with you, with anyone else. If you know other people who are going through this, or you're going through this, hopefully this will help too. Anyway, he was checking me, seemed fine, but then I shouldn't have looked, but there's this like enormous like blue probe that's getting put inside me to take some pictures and to actually do this. It's like a dart gun almost, and they take 12 spots around you, so that around your prostate, because they have to see where you have your they want to check all around the prostate to see if you have any cancerous cells. So they said I wasn't going to feel it. I did feel it, and I'm starting to count. I lose track of count of how many they're doing, and it sounds like this, and I'm like, oh, each time. I don't know. Maybe it hadn't. It felt it was a little bit painful, but not too bad. And then I'm done. He's like, okay, you're good. You should be good. Don't worry. You know, no issues. You could go. I had some shopping to do. I started doing shopping, and then I started to get a lot of pain, and I started breaking out in cold sweats. So just be aware when you have the biopsy, when the medication wears off and you start feeling it, it doesn't feel great. At least for me, it didn't feel great for a full day. I had to go home. I was just in bed. I had the sweats. I was in like this severe pain in my stomach, just waiting. I was probably also nervous, but I was in this severe pain. Something to know, they didn't tell me that I had to, that was going to be the situation. Fortunately, within a day, by the next day, I was feeling better, so that's fine. And then it was more waiting. It's a lot of waiting. So then I had to wait about a week. I knew I was going to be waiting a week. So Laura and I went to Savannah for a few days just to get our mind off. It was the first time we actually could clear my mind of all the negative thoughts about what was that we were going to find out. I knew I was not going to find out for a week. So I just waited, and we left and tried to put it out of our minds. And it was sort of our own secret. Just Laura and I were going through it. So you might be going through it. Someone you know might be going through it. And anyway, this is my story. That's the first part. It's the long wait. And next time we'll get into the results, which are pretty obvious what happened. But we'll get into that. Today's vlog is brought to you by the Department of Motor Vehicle, of course, because, you know, if you're impatient and you have a hard time waiting, there's no place to go like the DMV to get you to learn how to wait a long time for the smallest thing. So this is a big thing, but you got to learn how to be patient with these things, and it's a good thing to learn. So shout out to that. And I also want to thank all of you who have written me, who have called me, who have checked in, sending love. It's the greatest medicine, is to know that people care about you, especially my wife, Laura, who has been there by my side through this. That's meant the world to me. And a special shout out to my nephew, Noah Frank. He's a musician, and he came up with, he doesn't do much singing, but he did the music for the intro into this, and he made up something for the outro, for the exit music, and he rapped to it. He's not a rapper, but he did it with his heart and came up with a tune, and I'm so grateful and thankful. So thank you, Noah. Why don't you play us out?
A doodle, a family man, complete in a ton. He might have cancer, but he's still having fun. When health is a style, there is no worthy foe. So check on the vlog, this is his battle, yo. Mark Hyman. Mark Hyman. Mark Hyman.